Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe, please hit like, and please share it with your friends. Today we're going to be reassembling a vintage Waltham 21 jewel railroad grade pocket watch with a wind indicator. So I have completely scrub-a-dubbed this watch. I've done all the work I need to do prior to reassembling the watch. I didn't show you, but I also took the mainspring apart and did work on that. I was playing radio in the background, and what I'm probably going to do today is also play radio in the background. So I'm not going to videotape the whole reassembly because I want to listen to the radio today. It's Saturday, so you're going to get blurps of this reassembly. So the things I've got to do here is work on these little jewel settings here. Got to take out these settings, and these are cap jewels, and apply oil to the jewels themselves. So I'm going to do that right now. I don't think that's anything you'd need to watch, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, and again, like I said, I'm listening to the radio today, so I'm just kind of relaxing here and doing some watch work and listening to the radio. And I think that sometimes I just need to do that instead of recording anything. Because I'm doing a lot of watch work lately. The screwdriver is too small. This one here, I think I need to, no, this one's okay. I was going to say I was going to need to do some work on the screwdriver too. But it looks like it's fine. Looks like it is fine and dandy. And I'm just not sure whether I can edge these out or whether I have to push them out from the other side. It's sometimes nice if you can just take these. Someone said the other day, when you're doing that, does it fling or what? And if you look at that, the way I'm doing it right now, it did fling. So yeah, it does fling. So in this case here, it flung straight up and hit the carpet. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on these settings here. This is the setting right there. And I just have to make sure that the base is clean, and I can do that. Like I said before many times, I check the reflection and I see whether that reflection shows any dirt on the cap jewel. And in this case, there is no dirt on that cap jewel. That is clean as a whistle. A whistle, I tell you. And so given that, and because I'm always paranoid about dirt, I will reach in back here, and I normally keep some pegwood back here. Now, there's one big stick of pegwood I had. I'm trying to see where that thing went. Oh, there it is. This stick of pegwood right here is pretty darn handy. And pegwood is handy in general. So, and what I do with the pegwood, just to show you, is I'll take the point of this pegwood and I'll just rub that on the top of that jewel while holding it. And that will get rid of anything that's there at all. And this looks pretty darn clean. So, and now I've got to put that back, but I want to put a little bit of oil on that. Just a bit of oil on that. So I'm going to use the Bergeron 9010 oil, I believe, which is a very thin oil. And I'm going to put it on the cap jewel itself, and then I'm going to put that cap jewel back in, just like that, and clean off the oiler. And I'm just going to do one jewel in public, and then I'm going to do the rest of them not in public. I'm going to grab that cap jewel and just turn it around like so, and I recall where the dent was on the side, and it is the wrong way. It's going to have to go in like that, just like that there. And then all I'd have to do then is push that jewel in, and it's good to go. So I'm going to see if that's lined up properly. It needs to be turned just ever so slightly. And you can sometimes turn it with a screwdriver or some tool of some sort. I think in this case here I may have to lift it up and line it up again, and then once I've got it in the air here, I can I can line up the edges like that. There we go. I should be able to push this straight down. So now it went off the plate right now, so it lost its oil, so I've got to re-oil it and start again. Alright, push that cap jewel down, and then I have to grab the very small screws here and put them in place. One tricky thing is to, when you're taking your, I've got my goggles on here. I got my lenses on, my Airy lens, and when it's flipped over my glasses, it's giving me an extra ×5, I think. But when I'm trying to look at something with my two glasses, like I did just there, it kind of gets in the way because it's only over my left eye. The Airy loop is only over my left eye. So I'm having a hard time today anyway. So today I built a teepee for my wife for her new little tree in the front yard. I built a teepee out of wood, and then I built a, so that was my donation, and I used chipboard and wood and everything else and a hinge and got the thing done. And then after I did the teepee, built the whole thing, and we got rid of it. Then I went to granddaughter's soccer game, which actually was pretty interesting. It's pretty good. And I watched the soccer, met some engineering person who's got a doctorate degree in mechanical engineering, and had a chat with that person, and she was quite pleasant. And then after that, you see where the mark is here. So make sure this jewel setting goes right back into where it was. So I think these are gold. There we go. See how they just pry that out without a problem. And we talked about all kinds of stuff. We talked about the see where that mark is. There's a little witness mark right here that someone put in there years ago. We talked about stuff. Talked about fluid mechanics. And I said to her that I had a fluid mechanics book when I was in engineering, and I got rid of it for a guitar strap. That was a good move on my part. There's a jewel hole here that I want to just peg that out. So what I'm going to do is take my pegwood here and a knife, and I want to sharpen that knife up to be able to peg out that jewel hole. And we just sharpen that up just a bit, a tad. And the pegwood just slides in there. Looking at that sharpening, not too bad. And I just want to put that in right there and then rotate it. That didn't work at all. I think I need to sharpen that up again. The other thing I've done before is just take my gauges, my jeweling gauges, and just push the jeweling gauge through the hole and make sure that hole is clear. Because you don't want anything to be in there that's not supposed to be in there. I may get my other goggles on here to make sure that everything is kosher, I tell you. So sometimes I'll take my other goggles, which are really big. Like these ones here give me a ×20. They're cheap as hell, but they work well. And I use those sometimes to get really dirty and deep. And you know what? I have no problem with that jewel hole. It looks really good. Looks excellent. So there's no issue there. And again, turn around the cap jewel here. And there is a little chunk of oil on the top of that cap jewel. I believe I can get rid of that with, I'll either rub it with a stick and then finish off with Rodico. Rodico is definitely my friend. If it doesn't come off this way, then I get out the lighter fluid. But it seems like it's coming off nicely. And I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of Rodico here, just to get off anything that might be loose on there. Like that. And then I'm going to turn it around one way so it's aligned, and then turn it around the other way to oil it. Turn around this way like that. And I can see the witness mark. It's really, there's a witness mark here that someone scraped, and a witness mark right there on the edge. So the jewel would go back in like this. And it's very common for the jeweler to put a witness mark in to make sure the jewel goes back into the way it came out. So I turn it around like that, and then I just put some, I oil it. And I got my very fine glasses on today doing this here. And I will put some oil on this. A blob of oil like that. And the reason you're putting it on the cap as opposed to the, it'll go down over the actual pivot. The tip of the pivot will touch that cap. Some of that jewel will end up seeping into the jewel, or the oil rather will seep into that jewel, into the jewel hole. See if I can turn this around without screwing it up. Just like that, and then I think I can switch glasses maybe. I'll just do this last part here, and then there, that went in perfectly. It kind of snugs in. I think these are gold as well. I don't think they're brass. I think this is a pretty high-end watch. I'm going to switch to my other glasses. And as I've said to you a million times, these are the ones with the airy loop. You've got to get an airy loop if you don't have one. They're just amazing. They're adjustable here. They squeeze onto your glasses, and my glasses have got a reader on the bottom. Basically, it's ×3 lens on the bottom and a computer screen reading on the top. So that's those are my glasses, and I basically I love them. And those cost, I think the glasses alone cost me $700 just to have them done professionally. And then I bought the airy loop for about a boot, as you Americans think I say. A boot, $150 Canadian. A boot. And again, don't strip the screws. So you get them in there and you snug them nice and snug, but don't strip them. You don't need to strip the screws. So this little step I just did by removing this screw needs to go backwards first and then forward. And then I'm going to show you the watch I'm wearing right now. I'm kind of whispering, it's kind of the PGA Golf. So up here in Canada, we've got a football game today, and it's the Montreal Alouettes, and I think they're playing Toronto. And Montreal was the Alouette team, is the team I used to lifeguard for when I was a kid. In training camp, they trained in a place called Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, and they basically they were a pretty good football team back in the day, and one of the gentlemen on the team, Mr. Larry Smith was number 36, and he used to work out in the weight room with me occasionally. And I learned how to work out from him. And he used to have other players on there, like Della Riva was the quarterback, and Junior IU was about 400 pounds. And those some pretty big dudes back then. And so I was their lifeguard. And can you imagine me trying to get those big guys out of the swimming pool? Not a chance. Not a chance. So there you go. So that's those two screws. So that's going to make a huge difference in the operation of that watch. And I did mean those are the two caps on the two jewels here. And I think one of them's obviously the escapement, and the other one I think is their escapement and pallet fork, and then the actual balance, lower balance staff jewel. I also like, after it comes out of the cleaning machine, I have a look at how good it did, and this one did really well. And there's nothing here at all. It's just clean as a whistle. There's the whistle. And yeah, it is beautiful. I'm going to put a little oil on some of these components here for the setting mechanism. And all that does is make things run a bit smoother. You just have to put a dab, and then that will move itself around. So this is a lever mechanism on the other side. Get my fingernail in there, I might be able to grab it. There it is there. It is running nice and smooth. And I just like to put a little tiny bit of oil on all the friction points. So I got a friction point in here. And then I've got another friction point right here. Right here. And if I move that in and out again, what have I got here? Yeah, another friction point right there. And you definitely don't want to over oil a watch, because if you over oil the watch, other things happen which you won't like. Let me get myself a bench key here, because what I want to do here is, not sure if this is the right size. Man, I thought that would be the right size bench key. Nope, it's the wrong size bench key. Anyway, you look inside here, everything is nice and clean and dry, and what a nice watch. Gotta get myself a smaller bench key, and I just want to see the workings of this thing here. And this, because it's a my bench key is nice and yeah, the bench key is nice, good condition. I think I'll put a little oil on that as it goes in. I did rust check my garage door today, so it never hurts. And this just makes the action nice and smooth. Going in, I'll just take that in, turn it, put it in, turn it, put it in, take it out, turn it, and put it in, and then turn it again. There we go. That's a thing of beauty, man. A thing of beauty. Yeah. And then I'm going to pull the setting mechanism out again, like that, and put the smallest bit of oil in the shaft here. That may wander around, it may not. And then the last thing I like to oil is just right here, because it couples with the metal part of the watch, and that'll prevent any additional friction in there. And there's small points here that I don't think I need to oil, but just flip different type of oil here. This is the blue stuff, the red stuff. I'm going to it. One thing you don't want is the oil to wander, right? So I think everything is kosher here. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the inside of where the mainspring barrel goes in. And that'll spread around nicely. So no problem there at all. I'm showing you way more than I thought I was going to today, so, of this, but the oiling is important. I was doing that 7750 Beljour watch a while back, as you saw, and oh my god, that thing was a beast. It was a total B-E-A-S-T, a total beast. There's the mainspring going back in. This was fun to take apart because it has two pieces and you have to turn it counterclockwise to get the one piece out, so you don't pop the cap off, and then you do the exact same thing to get it back in again. It's not super difficult. Don't bother putting everything on film now because I just want to listen to the radio, right? The radio. I do have to look at my phone to make sure I'm assembling the gears in proper order here, so just bear with me for a second as I have a look at my phone. Let me have a look here. Sometimes when I have my watch glasses on, the phone doesn't register. It says, who am I looking at? Who am I looking at? I put the disassembly of this watch, I put the disassembly on the interweb there so you could look at that particular disassembly job. And what am I going to do here? So that I can see where the way the gears are stacked here, so I'll just stack them in the same manner. And I've got the definitely have the pallet fork and the other mechanisms going in first. Maybe I'll put the pallet fork in first. I don't normally do that, but since everything is wide open, it's probably not a bad idea, because then I don't have to concern myself with its interface with the escapement. So I can try that first. I've got to move the case out of the way, and I did not put the pallet fork in the cleaning machine. So if anyone has got advice there for that, I'm welcoming it, but you don't really need to put the pallet fork into the cleaning machine. And this pallet fork was friggin' spotless, so there's no real issue there, but I will oil it again. So to make sure it goes in the right way. So the pallet fork would go in like this, I believe. Like this, I'm thinking. And then the bridge goes on after. So which way does this pallet fork go in? There's like that, and like that. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So it goes in like this. And sometimes it's a good idea just to shut up. And there's the bridge. I dumped all the stuff out of the cleaning machine, so I could put it back, and this bridge just goes up right over the top. And there's two guiding pins that are on the end. The guide pins, they line up with two positions here. They line up with this hole and this hole, and they just guide the bridge for the pallet fork back in. So, and I just have to make sure when I put this back in that the pallet fork is in fact in the jewel hole, so I don't have a problem. So just line that up and then throw it in, and it actually looks like it lined up nicely already. So what I'm going to do here is put the screws back and not tighten them hard, because if you tighten them hard and they're not aligned properly, then there's a chance of breaking the pivot for the pallet fork, and you don't want to do that. And of course you don't want to drop the screw down here on the pallet fork, because then everything comes apart, and then you're going, how come everything's coming apart? I need to get my my shtick of all shticks. Alright, the stick here I just use for holding the pallet fork, the bridge down a bit. Well, they put the screw in so this doesn't pop out. Just like this. Now I can tighten those screws a tad. A tad is just slightly more than a bit. I'm actually, as I look at the pallet fork, I can see the pivot come out the top. And if I look down the bottom, I can see the pivot in the bottom. So I've tightened one. It's definitely loose. So there's also schools of thought about oiling, putting a dab of oil where the pallet fork is. I'm tightening up, I'm snugging it up just a bit more, and I'm seeing if there's, yeah, the pallet fork is still moving quite freely, so I know that the bridge is in. I can see the base. If you look at the base of the bridge right there, you make sure that's flat, and then when you're moving the pallet fork, you can tell the pallet fork is in nicely. Now, there's this little stuff I use. It's called Mobius 9415, and it is kind of a gelatinous. It's kind of a gel. It's 9415, and I have used this over the years, and it does a phenomenal job at basically it lubricates the stones in the pallet fork, the jewels. So you take a little tiny bit of this stuff, not a lot, just a smidgen of it, like that, and then I look at the pallet fork like this, and I can put that right on the face. There's on one face and then on the other. Hang on. Where's the other face? There it is. And that'll interact now with the little tiny feet. So I'll give you a close up here. And so I got that gel on both those jewel faces. And that'll interact with the little tiny feet of the escapement, which is kind of cool. So if stuff like that excites you. Alright, now in goes the escapement, goes in next, and then the fourth wheel, and then the third wheel, and then the center wheel. So I'm going to put the escapement in now. And that should just tuck in. And the escapement did have a cap jewel. I should be able to just tuck that in like that. And there it is. And that should be in its hole, which I think it is. Of course, the pallet fork will interfere with that a little bit. So, and then I need to put in the fourth wheel, and that's got, the fourth wheel has got the pivot on it for the pivot for the second hand. So you have to make sure you don't ruin that. Now, I made one of these once. I had a problem with a Hamilton pocket watch with the pivot. There we go. The fourth wheel pivot was broken, and it was a gentleman who was out of the UK, and he asked me, he says, any chance you can take this watch and make me a fourth wheel pivot? Well, that was one of the hardest jobs I've ever done in watchmaking. I did it, but don't anybody give me another job like that. So, because that is very hard. So I'm putting in the center wheel now. If I can grab it by the end pivot, that's great. I need to jab my tweezers in the Rodico. I saw a very small hair on the end. So have another look. Yeah, they're good. Make sure your tweezers are well dressed and there's no issue. Well dressing is necessary. I'm moving my watch around so you guys can see what's going on again. Kind of whispering today. Like I said, I'm pretty tired. I'm pooped. But I'm not pooped as a nervous, can't do watch work pooped. I'm just pooped. And there, this wheel goes in. Now this wheel, I believe, is gold filled. So it's a gorgeous, gorgeous wheel. Let me show you the movement now, the way it is. That is a gorgeous wheel. I don't care what anyone says. So I had a guy that, I'm going to move the camera up just a bit while you're watching. There's a guy that I am next to at a cottage, and he yelled out once while he was driving the Sea-Doo. He yelled out, "I don't care who you are, this is fun!" Which I thought was hilarious. I think that's all I got for that, so I'm going to have to guess where the plates go. So I think the first plate is going to be, I think I can put the plate for the mainspring down first. So I put that plate down first, then I don't have to worry about the other plate. So just put that down, and I think that just goes straight like that. Let me just get in a little bit closer here. Sorry about blocking the view, but just like this. There we go. And again, you just check the edges to make sure the plate has fallen all the way down, and then you've got perfect contact with that. And then I need to get the screws for this particular plate. I think, did I dump them? Oh no, I took all those screws. I didn't bother throwing those screws through the cleaning machine. I took them all and I threw them in here. If you look at this mess I have here, those screws are back there, so I'm going to grab those screws. And I just need 3 of them, and they all look the same. Those screws, I checked to see if those were the same. They all looked the same, and they did. So I'm not too concerned about the position, but I'll put one in there right now to make sure that it's down. And I'm not going to tighten them up as usual. You just put them down and then tighten them after, just to make sure there's no problems with pivots or mainsprings, or everything kind of works, because you can put them down and not tighten them completely, just tighten them just a little bit, a tad, as I said earlier, and check the edges to make sure everything is in. I've had occasions where I thought the watch was in and it wasn't, but it's rare now. I don't do that. I'm pretty good now. I don't do that anymore. I'm pretty anal retentive when it comes to doing stuff like that. I'm going to get a bigger screwdriver here. Anal retentivity. Sometimes in watchmaking it's a good thing. So there we go. So that plate's in, and now this plate here should just drop straight down, but I may have to tweak things, just to twinging things, or tweak them or something, just to get this thing in place. I'm just going to grab it a little by this thing here, because I know it's going to go like, there's a center wheel here, and then the screw for the platform goes straight down. So this goes like this, like this. And there's a fake bridge, which I think is very funny. It's hilarious. And so all I do here is I just, other than praying a lot, I put the bridge down like that. And some of these wheels need to be twizzled. So I use my twizzling device, this thing here, and I can sometimes, well, I'll usually screw this in lightly and then I'll do this, but just for your sake I'm going to put my finger on it just a bit, and I can see that the escapement is off and this wheel is off. And when these things get back in line, they will all just fall in place. So I can see 2 of the wheels are kind of lined up, and then this one here is way off. This is the 4th wheel, so I just have to grab that. There we go. Pull it up a bit, and now I can see the pivot, and the escapement has also found home, I believe. It's wiggling around a bit, but I think it's just generally wiggles around. Yeah, I think it found home. So what I'm going to do now is put the screws in very lightly again. And what I want to make sure is that there's power. When I wind this up briefly, that I get power to the power to the pallet fork. You can then see the pallet fork shift back and forth as you touch it. I might have forgotten something here though, because there is this device here, and this is the wind indicator, and I don't think I put it in yet, so I think this wind indicator needs to go in, and I may have made a boo-boo because I think that should be going in right here, which means I have to take this plate off to put the wind indicator in. That's all. So I'll just put these screws in nice and lightly though, because I think I can take that other plate off without a problem, because this plate is already in, which is nice. The old wind indicator. It's funny that wind and wind are spelled exactly the same. And I just want to make sure the escapement pivot is lined up perfectly. And I have no issues. Pas de issues. Now I watch a guy there, Larry, what's his name there? Mr. Wonderful, I think he calls himself, and he does videos with Teddy Baldassar on watch collecting. And he's from Quebec, Canada. And he calls himself Mr. Wonderful, but I think that's pretty arrogant. Like, why don't I call myself Mr. Fantastic? Okay, that's still moving nicely without any problems with pivots and stuff. So I'm just tightening that down a little more, a little snugger, but not too snug. So now we've got to put this wind indicator in. Now with the wind indicator, I think I can adjust this using the, I'm going to take all this out again, using the hand on the wind indicator. So I think the way I'm going to adjust the wind indicator is that I'm going to wind the watch up fully and then put the wind indicator, the hand for the wind indicator on, showing that it's fully wound. I think that's the way of doing it. Otherwise, I'm not sure how that works. I believe I took a picture of the wind indicator, so I think I can lift this plate up without the wheel getting in the way. Can I do that? I'm not sure. I'm not absolutely sure. Let me see. Can I do that? Yes, I can. It is a good day. And the wind indicator goes right in there, in that hole. And I can see the ratchet on the bottom half. So I believe it goes in like that. Like this. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it going in like that. And then the plate goes down. The plate. It's pretty cool though. I have a look at that. Somebody invented that little wind indicator, and that device just basically there's a barrel. You wind the barrel and it turns, and the arbor then lets go. The arbor lets the power out. The barrel turns actually. The arbor stays where it is. So, and that wind indicator tells you where it is. Now I know it's not supposed to go in a certain way. I don't think. So anyway, I think I've done one before and I managed to figure it out. So if I do have a problem, I can disassemble it and try again, but I don't want to do that, but I will if I've got a wind indicator issue. And I'm looking for the pivot on the wind indicator now, because that pivot will show itself and make sure everything is flat. It's not flat right now. So I have to make sure the wind indicator goes through the hole. There's always something, isn't there? That's because the gentleman who owns the watch said, hey, there we go. He said, I hear you fix pocket watches. I'm like, damn, who told you that? Who told you that? There, I can see the hole there for the wind indicator, so I'm going to put the screw in here. I'm going to oil up the top of that pivot as well. Just because I'm a guy that oils up pivots. That's why. Oops. don't slip with your screwdriver. There we go. Somebody said they like when I chatter because I tell them what to do and what not to do. Well, just do everything I do, but do it backwards. That's how you disassemble the watch. Ha ha ha. Now again, I'm not tightening these all the way down until I look at the sides, make sure the plate is, there's no gaps on the side of the plate here, and the plate is straight down. Now, I've taken many online courses on watch repair over the years. I got all the books. I took Mark, I won't mention his last name, but he's a British fellow that gives an excellent course in watch repair. I took his 2250 Valjour watch repair. I took his advanced diagnostics courses. I've taken them all, baby. So I'm all, and this is over the years. I haven't taken one in a little while, but I've taken all his courses and they're excellent. So if you look online, you'll see courses with Mark. And Mark's a great guy, good gentleman, and he does very good courses. So that is that is not the ratchet wheel. So I'm looking for the hole in the bottom there because there's a little alignment hole that you look for. There it is there. And you'll line that up with the screw here. And generally it'll fall into place like that. Seeing if that falls into place here. If it's not aligned, then this plate won't fall down. So there we go. Just rotate it a bit until it's aligned, and then I've got the screw to hold that in place, like this. And these are generally bigger screws. They're like a wide screw, so you want to put this in. I usually back it off just a little tiny bit before I screw down on it. That way I know it's in place. And then once you've got that in place, you can check the wheel here to make sure there's movement on that. That's moving. Let me see, what's that moving here? Something's moving. It feels stuck. Let me get the key out here and see what goes on here. There we go. That's nice. Nice and smooth. Smooth, baby. And I get that running nice and smooth. I can tighten this down a bit. But again, there's no need to do any Arnold Schwarzenegger tightening on this, okay? That should work just fine like that. Seems a bit stiff right there, but I'm going to take a look at this from the other side because I'm winding it and it seems just a bit stiff. So I've got these screws in, but let me see what's going on here. It's winding nicely like this. I can see it's turning. Yeah, it's interfacing with the winding mechanism gear, so, and it just feels like it needs maybe a little bit of oil or something, because it does feel a bit stiff. So what I'm going to do, just to prevent the bit stiffness, is make sure I don't squish the this here. I'm going to loosen this off again, and I'm going to look underneath and make sure that the interface, that I don't have problems with the interface. And that's it should feel nice and smooth, and just take these parts out and then move them out of the way, right? Come on. Come to daddy. And I just want to, that's interfacing with that. So what I want to do here is put a little bit of oil in there. Grab my oiler, and I want to put a little bit of oil. The oil could be on the teeth of this here. So I'm just going to oil this up just a bit. because feels a little rougher than I want it to be. Just grabbing some oil here and putting it on the watch here. So, okay. These teeth are interfacing with the other teeth. There's a lot of teeth involved. And let me just put this back where it was. And just turn this here on its own to make sure there's nothing. Yeah, that's nice and smooth there. So all it is a tooth-to-tooth integration issue. So I just throw that down like that. That'll go into place. Then I'm going to put this back. Yeah, put this back in there. Before I do that though, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the top of the rim of that, because this thing spins around. Put oil on both sides, because when this thing spins around, it does spin with the other part of the metal touching it. So I'm sure it causes a bit of friction. So now I just do this like I did last time, line up that screw hole, throw that down, and I've got to basically make sure all that lines up. So, and just like last time, it should fall into place. I moved it over too much. Just keep playing with it until it falls into place. If I screw it up totally, I'll just pick it up with Rodico and move it around. See if I can just move it with the Rodico here. There we go. So now it's in place. And then grab that screw. So you can see in watchmaking, it's just, you don't just simply throw the watch together and you're good to go. It's a bit of work because you got to make sure everything is interfacing properly. You got to make sure that none of the components are touching the wrong way. And when I mean touching the wrong way, I mean that the components are in, but you're not forcing anything. This screw is a bitch to put in because the head's so big, and it just doesn't want to be received that much. There we go. Let me just see what the feel is now with that interface here. Oh yeah, night and day, folks, night and day. That is amazing. There's no friction at all anymore. That's going around really nicely. I'm going to just see if I can tighten this just a bit more. And so do I still have the good interface here? Yep, that's perfect. So that there, before there was some friction, I could feel it got to a certain point, it felt like it was grinding a bit, right? So I had to get rid of that feeling, and I did. So there. So now I can put the ratchet wheel in. That was the crown wheel I just put in. This is the ratchet wheel. And this just goes down like that. Staying on, my wife wants to talk to me. Alright, my wife just came upstairs. She's all sore from working out outside all day, so totally worn out. So now I put the ratchet wheel in place, and she's talking again. So she said I should be closing the door and marking the door, do not enter, if I'm recording. So she said, I'm super sore, I think I'll go for a sauna. Like, anything else you want to say, dear? So that is now in. I could tighten this up just a bit more, but you don't really have to do a lot to tighten this up. So, and now I think I do want to go around the circle here and make sure these screws are in. Well, let me put a little bit of power on it. See, now normally you'd run the train with the pallet fork out, but I think that I'm putting a little tiny bit of power on the watch, and I'm just going to touch the pallet fork just a bit to see if it snaps back. And we have snapping. So what does that look like? It looks like this. I'm going to just see if this focuses for me. So there's the pallet fork there, and I just touch the edge of it like this. And there we go. And it just snaps back into place. So it's good interaction there. And remember, I put the gel on the Jobby doohickey. So a bit of a shout out to Ed. So I know that Ed Horns out there who watches my videos, and Ed is one of the owners of the first Frankenwatch I worked on. And that worked years ago. I had to make jewel settings and everything for that watch, so that was a bit of a personal horror story for us, and we got through it, and it ended up becoming a very beautiful watch. And he told me that watch worked better than any of the other watches he had. I think he said that. So you can comment again, Ed, if you're still watching my crazy videos. I just have to do some oiling here. And anyway, it was good that Ed said, hey, I'm still out here and I'm still watching you fix watches. So I was kind of felt good inside, especially when you return a watch to a customer and they just love the watch that's working better than it ever worked before. That's a really good feeling for me personally. So, and like I said, this is a hobby of mine, so this is not my living, and I totally enjoy doing it, and I like chatting to people, so it tends to be a good hobby. So thanks to Ed out there anyway for making it, saying things. And I got a shout out to Sonny too, because Sonny. All right, I got a question here. What the hell is this screw for? All right, did I miss a screw? I don't think I did. I missed a screw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these screws are here. There's no screws missing here. There's no screws missing on the pallet fork. I just saw a screw right here. What is this screw for? I don't want to put the whole watch back together and realize I missed a screw. You don't do that in airplane parts, say with aircraft. If you do that with aircraft, you're in trouble. But I did not see that screw before, so where is it from? Where is it from? I know what somebody's going to video, like all these screws for the plates are all in and tightened down. All the screws here are all in. I've wound the watch, right? So there's no missing screws from winding the watch. Is this screw from another device of some sort? Oh, I don't like that. What is that feeling? Oh, I think something is stuck here. Alright, that scared the living crap out of me. You know what it was? Just to let you know, I put the wrong end of this thing in here, and then it started rattling because it was loose inside the hole. So I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Anyway, there's a screw that I have here, and I'm not sure because I did screw hunting the other day. Maybe that's a leftover from the mat from my screw hunting. But you see the size of that screw? That's not something that I would have installed on this pocket watch. So, or any other of the pocket watches. This would normally be from a bridge of some sort or something, but I don't know. And maybe it migrated from somewhere else, but it is not part of this movement. So don't try to become part of this movement, screw. I know you want to, but you're not going to get there. All right, now the balance is ready to go in, but this little device here goes in for regulating the balance, and there's a piece of shellac or whatever that was stuck to the top of it. So I don't know whether that is part of this balance, this little piece or not, this micro piece or not. I'm not quite sure. But this is used to regulate the watch because I can see the 2 regulator pins there. So what I'm going to do, they're all gummed up. I don't think it's broken. I just think it's got a piece of crap on it. And this would go. There's a regulation thing right there, and this is being held down by this little bar here. And then this regulator would likely it would be going over the top somehow. So somewhere here, like that, right? And then right straight down over the hairspring. So I gotta figure out how to reassemble this thing somehow. But what I want to do first is throw this in some lighter fluid and and clean that off, because it looks pretty messy right now. I don't think Rodico would by itself would clean it off. I could try, but what I do have to watch out for are those regulator pins. They're very, very fancy, and let me just get a block out here. And that regulator pin, you don't want to squish them. So the gentleman left me this watch and said, I don't know what's going wrong, but it's not working. So I want to put these regulator pins into one of the holes here, like that. And now I've got this piece kind of flat, like that. And I can take some Rodico and hold it with my stick, my Bergeron. And what's the number of the stick? What's the number of the stick? This is a test. My Bergeron 7010. 7010, folks. Y'all failed the test. All y'all failed the test. That's Southern U.S. for everybody. So what I want to do is look underneath this and see if there's a reason for this thing to have that piece, which you can use a stick, you idiot. A reason for that piece to have been maybe soldered on or something. Makes no sense at all. Now I do have a very famous cleaning stick. So let's see if I have it in here. I got my big huge thing of tools you can see on the edge. And somewhere it's either in here or in one of the other containers. There's this big long stick that I sometimes use to clean stuff with. Might not be in this container, maybe in one of the other containers. I got tons of containers everywhere. So let me look at one of the other containers and see if the stick is there. I'll be back in a second. Alright, here's the stick I'm talking about, Bergeron 6240. So this is a Bergeron 6240, and I have my $2 watch just ticking away. Look at that thing. $2 from China. It actually works exceptionally well and it's waterproof. So for $2, like, how do you beat that? So here's the stick here, and on the end it has these little nylon is what it is, and you push the button on the end like that, and it takes the jaw from the nylon and it opens it up so you don't have the jaw. So what you do is you size it like that, so it's, if you have it sort of nubbed like that, right, then it's going to be stiffer, and if you don't want to break something and it's going to be loose, and you basically hold it back further like that, right, one or the other. So I'm going to grab it in a little bit tight here, and then I can use this to remove some of that, whatever that is, corrosive material or something on this little jobby doohickey on this thing, right? So well, I'm not sure what this thing is. Well, this is a regulator arm, so I'm just praying that this thing's not cracked and someone actually put some crap on it to glue it or something. Because to find another regulator arm would be almost impossible. Just cleaning it up a bit here. It's got all kinds of crap on it. This is also sprung too, so there's a bit of a spring in here. So I turn that upside down, I can see the regulator arms. I'll just show you what that looks like here. So there it is there. You see the little regulator arms there? They're so small. So small and dainty. Just thinking I might be able to just put it in here for a second and then just very lightly scrape those arms. No, I think I'm going to use lighter fluid on this to clean it up. So I use the Rossignol basically rosin lighter fluid. And look at all that danger, extreme danger. Scares me even thinking about it. So I'm going to see if this will fit into here. I think it will. See that? It fits kind of straight down in there. And there it is in the bottom. It fits perfectly, actually. And I get away from all things electronic to pour this lighter fluid. And the good news about the lighter fluid is that it squirts out of that bottle very nicely. It evaporates really quickly as well. So I can now hold that down on the bottom and use a brush to move it. So I'll just get the lighter fluid out of the way, so I don't cause any problems with myself here. So there, that's the lighter fluid down there, and I'm going to use a toothpick to hold it because I'm not sure what the lighter fluid does to the plastic of my little holding device. So I got it down there like that, and I'm going to put my airy loop over. I got another one of these what is this tools, by the way, that I got to show you, so it's pretty cool. And I just don't want to crush anything here, so I'm trying to be super careful. But I need to get at those regulator arms here with this brush. That's a fine regulator, folks. Now I'll get some watch paper out. Just gonna tap the lighter fluid off the end of that. And lighter fluid just evaporates so fast. It's sickening. And oh yeah, that looks really good. So the regulator arms are looking very good here. I'm going to get a piece of watch paper and just fold it over here so it doesn't go through my mat. Throw that on there. And then move this out of the way. And then this can dry off now. And the way I normally dry this off on the paper is I'll just move it to another position. Like that. It's almost all dry already. So it doesn't take much to dry this. Yeah, it looks a lot better. I think it's okay. I don't think it's cracked. So this then would align, or would line up, and this regulator arm would go over the top of this here, like so. And the screws are in there because I took the thing apart, but if I take the screws out, I might be able to just put it down without a problem. So let me try that. I know it's not that big giant screw. I'm going to tell you what this thing is after. So you guys can guess, but I'm going to do a what is this tool on that a little bit later. So I'm going to see if I can very carefully unscrew these screws here without causing any big problems. Very carefully. Easy does it, boy. Easy does it. Whoa, whoa. That's one. I think I only need to take out this one. This one looked like it was overlapping, so that might work. But then can I put this down? And will it work? Will it work? Just want to put it on the pad here as I move it around. Dainty work. Now, I know some of you folks out there are going to say, "Hey, JD, take the balance spring off." But I think I can feed it in here just like this, and then I'm going to see if this looks like there's another. Oh no, that's not right. That's stupid. So that regulator arm is the hairspring is in the right place right now. That is weird. That is wild and crazy, folks. Wild and crazy. So I don't know if I can tuck that in or what. But I think what I need to do is I need to unscrew the regulator screw, which is right here. Take that all the way back. I think if I was really smart, I'd be taking the spring off. Oh, another thing I just noticed is that the screw here is cracked. This is a screw holding this arm on here. So Daddy might need to do some screw hunting, unless I can just turn that around a bit. Like that. I just want to see if all this works. So I may have to take the spring off here to get this thing going perfectly. That likely is the smarter way of doing it. But, yeah, I think I'm going to have to take this apart. Yeah. We're going to take the screw off. I can't fix this with the hairspring still in place. So I'm going to remove this little arm here. And I'm going to turn this thing around. I'm grabbing this with my bare hands. Talk about old-fashioned watchmaking. Like that. Put that on this side. And then I'm going to just release the kraken. I'm going to release the hairspring stud very carefully. It doesn't take much to get the stud out of there, so. It also looks like there's 1,000 years worth of stuff on that. So there we go. So now that's out of the way, because I'm a good boy, I'm going to put the balance and hairspring on here like that to get that out of the way. I'm going to put that in a blue watch case, and put the lid on the top. There we go. Now, the problem I have is I think with the screw that holds this little device on here. If you look at this, I may start another video on this, by the way, because this is where the problem was. So if you look at that, there's a screw right there that holds the mechanism on, and see it only has half of a head. And this means I've got to go screw hunting, right? Because I need to replace that screw. If I don't replace the screw, then this doesn't get fixed. Because if I keep that screw in there, when I put this back into place, like this, that screw will let go, and then this plate will fall off. And I think that's probably how it let go last time. So I'm going to put this back in there, and let me see what time it is. 1/4 after. So I think I'm going to try to nudge the screw out and remove that little plate here. Do some screw nudging. Of course, I nudged it the other way before, so it's going to be harder to nudge now. And I could use a needle. See if my needle will allow me to nudge this. Oh, there we go. So now the screw is kind of turning a bit. And that's going to allow me to remove this little plate. I'm kind of using my the needle there to move that screw, the screw that's right there on top. I'm taking my needle and I'm putting it in there and just touching the edge of it to see if that'll let me remove that screw. So I just have to put it on the balance tack here so I can get some access to it. It's kind of loose now, but I gotta find another screw that might fit in there. The screw I find can be just a little bit bigger than that. It's not a problem, but this whole mechanism is going to just fall out. So there's the screw there. Looks like it's magnetized, or my needle is. And I'm just going to drop that down inside the tray there. Of course, it jumps out. And because I need to find another screw that's just like that, same size. And this whole needle thing comes out like this, and there's a bit of a post there, if you can see that post. And I need to basically find a screw that fits in that hole right there and goes in nicely and goes over the top. So I need to, let me see if I got to put this aside here. And the screw, this is the screw for the balance cock. I don't have to worry about that, but I can maybe throw that in here as well or somewhere like that. So that's the balance screw. And there's still the mystery screw, right? So I'm going to go screw hunting, and that means that is hard work. I'm telling you, that is going to be hard work. And that is where I get my massive collection of screws that I have, as you can see. And this is a very small screw, so I have to find the world's smallest screw. And so there's a couple of containers I have that might have that screw. And it is a small one though. So I'll do a little bit of praying. So I'll go through these containers here and look for the right screw, and the thread has to be the exact same thread type as well, so you can't just find a screw, right? Because it has to hold that plate down. The only other option I would have would be to make a screw, and I think it would be super difficult to make a screw that size. I don't know if I could do that. And I also, when looking at these screws, and they are small. Well, this screw is smaller than anyone I've ever seen. But let's just open this up here and have a look. I got a few minutes before supper. I'm going to have to email the gentleman and tell him his watch is not going to be ready right away, because it's going to take a little bit of work. I'm looking at some of the smaller screws here, and they're even too big, I think. Yeah, even these ones here are like monsters compared. It's got to fit into that little tiny hole there. You don't want to stretch it. Could make a rude joke there, but I'm not gonna. I'm looking at all these screws and thinking, holy shit, I'm not sure if I have one that's that small. There's one like this, but even that. You can tell right away the thread is wrong. So I'm not sure how the head of that screw came off. That had to be a watchmaker that did that. I don't think an average human would do that. There's a small screw. Again, that's an incredibly small screw, but too big. Too big. Oh my God. Here's a super small screw that if it fits, I could probably trim the head down. Again, I think that's actually too big as well. Oh my God, folks. Oh my God. This could be a very hard one. Yeah, that's not going to fit in there. That is not going to fit in there. Now I have some screws that are used for glasses. Let me have a look at those and see if they're any better. I do have some small screws in here, but geez. Every small screw I pick out is way too big. Let me put this aside for now. And I'm going to get the screws that are made for glasses and see if that works. This is screw hunting. I should basically not be recording this. This is crap. I'll be back. Alright, so I got more screws here, but it's still, because of the size of that damn screw, it's so small. I got some, what it says long screws, but I've got these ones here that are kind of small as well. There's a whole whack of them in there, right? And it's matching that damn screw. If I can get one that's the right size, I can shave the head down on it. Or just leave the head big if I can get it to fit, right? But it would have to fit. See, this one here looks pretty good. But will it fit? That's the question. Let me take this off I think there's nothing here that can get squished. No, we're good. So I think I can just rest this down here for now and then see if I can find a screw, because this is a very long one here, but I don't know if it's the kind that would fit in there. I'm going to hold it in place while I use my screwdriver and try to videotape this all at once. The size of this thing. It's a very small screw. I'll do it left-handed. I am left-handed, but I don't like screwing left-handed, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I can't hold that with this hand and do it the other way. I got to hold it with the other hand and move these screws out of the way, because this is one of many. So I think this screw hunting could take me a while, like I'm talking hours. I also want to put this in a vise of some sort. Wow. This is even hard to line up to get the screwdriver in. Is that going in? Oh my God, it might be. It's standing up. So if this thing is threaded right and it screws all the way in, I may have success here. It's screwing in without any pressure, which is nice. Well, it got to that point, and now there's a little bit of pressure, but I don't want to strip the hole, because that'll cause another problem. Well, that's going in. Holy crap, folks. I may have found a screw. Let me see if it just goes around in circles, or can I tighten that at all? Yeah, I can tighten it. There we go. So that screw actually fits. That is amazing. So now what I got to do, though, is I've got to shave the part down, because I'm looking at this screw here. The head is probably bigger than I need, but it might not be a problem. If that part fits on and the screw fits on, I can just shave the bottom of it, which should work. The top of it's going to stick up higher. I don't know whether that'll interfere with anything, because it's going to be a little bit high, and I don't think it'll interfere with anything here, because the jewels are also high. I'd have to try it out and see. That way I just have to trim the bottom of the screw. But I'm amazed that I could find a screw that would fit that hole. That is amazing. Truly amazing. Do I have my camera on? I don't even know if I got my camera on. This has got to be boring the hell out of you. But this, again, is the kind of crap you got to put up with if you're going to do watchmaking, right? Is that screw out yet? No. There, I got it. And so now all I do is take the plate that I had. Where's my tweezers? I take this plate here. This is the plate, and I just have to put that in place like this. I can probably take the screw out of the plate, because that wouldn't be needed right now. So I can just unscrew the screw here from the plate. Got a lot of screws happening here. This is a regulation screw, and so if I just remove that, I'll put that in here as well. That's a screw to regulate the thing. I turn this around. Now I know why you wanted me to fix it. And I put the plate in like that, like so. And then I grab that screw wherever it is, where I put the screw. It's right here. And now I gotta screw that back in hopefully I can do this with one hand. Alright, that didn't work. This thing here needs to be in a vise or held securely, because right now it's just kind of rattling around. So if I hang this over the edge, is it going to fall off? Probably, right? Yeah, it's going to fall off. So I got to find a way of securing this thing so it's secure and I can also work on the screw. Maybe if I put something underneath here, it'll give it a bit of, maybe some Rodico actually. The man's best friend. So I just put a little bit of Rodico on the bottom, like that, and it'll give it kind of a platform. I could sink the whole damn thing in Rodico, maybe, right? What do you think? Just take the whole damn thing, take the Rodico, make a square out of it. I'm going to produce this video the second I get the screw in. Move this aside, and I'm going to put this down in Rodico, and I got no problem there at all. To make sure that screw is in there. There we go. And I just push this down on the Rodico like that. Like this. Yeah, there. Now this side is just sticking up, right? Which is, you need to get it a little more flat, like that. There, that's good right there. And then I've got this whole screwing mechanism here. So I just have to take this and move this around like so. And this is the regulator arm. You just put that down in position like that, very carefully. I just have to get this stupid screw out of the way because I don't need it until I get this thing in position. So I just grab it like this. This will fall into the hole like that. There we go. And then this is the hard part for me, is holding this stupid screw while I'm trying to turn the thing. It's not easy, folks. It is not easy. It's super micro work. Alright, I thought I had it and then everything popped out. I'm going to start swearing any second now. I was going to use the MF word. And it just pisses you off when you're working on something like this. There, that's this. And then you got to start all over again. And I got to hold the screw in a way that I can actually, it's sort of straight down. And so when I'm holding it like this, it's at an angle, which doesn't help me. So this goes straight down, and I need to get closer, and I can't. Everything is in the way. Get out of the way. Get it? I'm screwing it in. Wow. Is this going to work? I do not know. God, I think I got it in there. I'll show you this in 2 seconds, okay? And then after this, I think I'll make the video. If I don't... There we go. That's in. And if you look at that, there it is there. That new screw is in place, holding that plate down. And now I have to take the other screw here, because I'll end up losing it if I don't do this. I need to take this screw here and put it in right here, because this is where it belongs. Right in there. And, oh my God, it's driving me nuts. So this screw goes in like this. Gotta very carefully align this up here somehow. Hang on. I don't want to strip any screws either. This is a regulating screw. There we go. So that goes in like that. So that's working. It's reassembling of this bugger. It's driving me friggin' nuts. Let me see. Let me get a bigger screwdriver here for this. There we go. That goes in like that. And then this arm here goes down. So the trick here is using Rodico, folks. So the arm goes down over the top, but it tucks in where the screw is right here. So it goes in and then over. So I think I can do that, but I've got to hold it like this while I'm doing it. It's going in like that and then over. And I can see there's a little crack in the metal, and that crack allows you to tuck it over the top of where the jewel is, I think. Is that going in place, or does it need to go deeper? It needs to go a bit deeper. Alright, that side's in. And then this side needs to go in as well, which means it's got to go up and over a bit. This is not easy, folks. This is not friggin' easy. And I can see the rim this goes over, so you kind of just have to, I think you got to kind of force it over the rim. I'm trying to do that without putting any undue pressure on the device itself, because it's got to open up. So I think if I take a very small screwdriver, like this one here, and I've got to put that in where that crack is, right there, and then twist it to open up the spring here. And then that'll let this flow into the hole, I think. There we go. That's opened up now. And that goes down like that. And I think that's in. There it is. I think it's in the hole. So I think this is in place. Let me take this out and have a look at the edges. And it is done. It's perfect. It's in place. Now, the job's not over yet, because what I need to do now is screw in the screw that I took out before, which was, and I'm lucky I got good eyeballs, this screw here that it goes in right here. So I need to put that in. And that, my friends, is it. And I think what I'll do alright, that's too small. You have to have a whole lot of patience to do this kind of stuff. Just as you're getting ready to succeed, the screw just jumps back out again because it's so friggin' small. Oh, I almost dropped the friggin' F word. Frack! There, I said frack. You guys can all laugh, but I'm publishing this whole damn video, and you're gonna have to watch the whole thing, okay? I swear. Are you allowed swearing on YouTube? I don't know. I don't want them to restrict my videos, so I'm getting effing mad. Come on, catch. Oh, you piece of shit. This is really pissing me off. The screw is so small and I'm having such a hard time putting it in place. Jesus, Murphy. And the effing screwdriver is magnetized just a bit. Now it's sticking on there. So this is like, what, 10? I know you guys are all laughing at me right now. There's going to be great cheer and laughter by all. And all was... I don't think I've ever had such a hard time putting a screw in like this. So I got it now. There. Holy shit! There it is. Completely reconfigured. Now I just have to grab the balance and put that in place. I'll be right back and see if I can get this thing ticking, and that's it for the video. So the lesson here, folks, is you can never have too many watch screws. So I think I've got this ready to go. I think I do anyway. I'm looking at everything here and it all looks really kosher. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this back on the balance tack here. I still have that little miniature screw that I replaced. And if you look at the whole configuration here, you'll see it's all back together again. This is a very difficult, this was a difficult job, I've got to tell you. I got to tell you. So I'm hoping everything just ticks. Oh, I screwed up. I wanted to grab this from the other side. So when I put this back together, I'm going to make the video right after that. If this thing starts ticking, the video is going to be made. I'm looking at which side the balance will enter, and it's going to enter on this side like this, and I'm just going to tuck this underneath like that. I'm just going to go into the hole like this and then just scoot sideways like that. And hopefully everything just falls into place. I'm not sure exactly where the holes are on this thing. So there we go. Oh, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ticking. Wow. So this was one hell of an adventure. I'm going to put that screw back in and then I'm going to make the video, and we're not going to bother with the rest of the assembly today because I have ticking. I'm telling you, I was so friggin' pissed off earlier at that, at the this watch was pissing me off big time. Now, do I have good amplitude here? It looks like it's going really well here. Let me just screw this down. Hopefully I don't have to shim anything. Nope. Perfect. Look at that. I'm going to just take a quick shot of that. The regulator pin's back in there. The new screw is in place. That is a slow motion shot of the watch, and let's see if it is running really well. It's not bad. I don't have a 360-degree turn on it yet, but let it work itself in and wind it up. But it is ticking, so that's good. That's a start, folks. I think if it works itself in, it's going to be doing even better. Let me have a look at it, make sure none of the screws or springs are touching the wrong stuff. No, and that regulator is working nicely. And that would be, you know, I just take that regulator now and I can just turn that. And that's going to turn the whole darn thing. So I need to turn it into position anyway so that it's in play. And I'm going to very quickly make the video. If my wife will allow me to make this video. instead of dinner. There we go. There we go. So now I just have to turn this and that's to allow you to regulate the watch. And like that. There we go. So I don't know whether that's in beat or what the amplitude or anything. I just know that it's running, and that's a good thing, and we're going to just call it success for now. I'll make the video and I'll see you folks later. Thanks for watching my channel. This was a hell of a job, so thanks a lot. I'll catch you a little bit later.